I'm excited. Michael Miller,
Pastor Jeff.
good to be with you. Actually, I think one of the things people may be surprised by, we started going down memory lane here, right? So we have a connection. This is kind of interesting, I think. Brianna, who's on our team here.
Mm-hmm. Been on your team for a long time.
She actually was the first person to move here when we got ready to start Milestone, 2002. She had come into our church in Abilene that I pastored. You went to school at ACU?
Abilene Christian, yeah.
So you were at Abilene Christian. You knew Brianna. You also knew Eddie, who is now her husband, but they were not in that connection.
That was an unlikely match, man. When they fell in love, it was like, what?
Yeah. Brianna was like the Holy Church
she
girl.
Was Mother
Eddie.
Teresa. He was Al Capone, man. and she was like my little sister, just so sweet, loved Jesus, and then she connected with you guys, and I watched her fall deeper in love with Jesus. But it was a different tradition than what I grew up in.
Well, she came to she was actually like kind of developing into. I know there's a lot of shifts that had happened, right? But a denomination like her as a female being a part of like some things. Okay, so she actually came to our church to a young adult service and had like a back issue and got healed. That was the catalyst.
That adds up, yeah.
And then she started serving, and then my pastors were like, okay, you can go plant this church. So I invited her in my office, and I'm like, hey, have you ever thought about planting a church?
That was from Abilene to Fort Worth.
Yeah, it's coming to where we are now. And she was like, no, I've never even fathomed that. But she was the first person to move here and get a job before the rest of the team, even before I got here. So a lot of people don't know that. She still works with me every day, part of the team, helped us get set up.
Into her.
Yeah,
amazing.
Eddie, she brought Eddie. Eddie introduced me to all his friends, you being one of them.
Yeah.
So you and I were in Eddie and Brianna's wedding.
Yeah.
Because
I had moved from Abilene to my first pastorate here in town in the mid-cities, and you guys moved to the mid-cities. And so I was around you guys, but I didn't really understand y'all. I was pretty isolated in my little church world, but I was so intrigued by the fruit of her life, and even seeing the change in Eddie when he started running with you guys. It was the fruit of what you were leading. I was like, man, I don't get it all, but I see the fruit and their love for Jesus. It was just really powerful.
Yes. So then Eddie pulls out the wedding picture because I did the wedding.
Yeah.
You were one of his groomsmen.
Yeah.
We were all kind of hanging out, and I mean, you still look still pretty the same. You got a little more gray in the beard.
Some wrinkles, some gray.
Not a lot of wrinkles. You got a little Hollywood look feel. Got good hair.
Man.
I lost a few pounds since then. I had to daisy chain my neck extenders to get because I had what I call the chinchilla.
Yeah.
When a preacher gets the tight neck, the chinchilla.
You were kind of overflowing right
Overflow. There. And I didn't know this. You don't know that because you're not a real big guy. You got a little bit of the middle age thing going. I can tell just a touch, but not a lot.
The table covers it, bro. Don't uncover me.
But here's a trick: if you ever end up there, you can take those neck extenders. You can weave them together and put 2 to 3 to create a broader deal for the old preacher tie. Yeah. Do you ever wear a preacher tie?
No, I have not worn a preacher tie in a minute.
Have you ever preached in a tie at Upper Room?
I don't think I've ever worn a tie to the Upper Room, much less preached.
Ever wore a tie.
I don't think so.
There would be occasion to where that would actually be a new radical thing, though. Like that could be something new.
The edge I'll wear a blazer at Easter.
I'm going to tell you this. It's not even a church if you don't wear a tie at some point.
Bro, okay. I have one tie for the wedding I do, and I don't do a lot of weddings, but I have one tie.
I dare you. I dare you.
Do you wear a tie?
No.
Yeah,
But
so
still.
get off me.
But I have worn one here one time. I think it was a funeral or something.
No,
but I want you. I'm giving this to you as a dare.
No.
I think it would break the internet. It's like if you got up there in a full blown deal, I think it would be phenomenal.
All right, I will send you a pic. I'll try to do that this year. I'll work it in. But the extent of my fashion consultant's my 14-year-old right now.
Yeah.
So she's like, Dad, that drip, no. I was like, you got to figure out what a drip is.
What is a drip?
It's your fit.
It's your fit.
I think so.
Yeah.
She's
you got to be careful using their
particular.
slang, because when my kids were 14, 15, I used a few of their words that I thought were just cool. No, they meant bad things sometimes. Like I said some preaching, and they're like, that word is a new. you gotta kind of watch.
And it all recycles. Like the wide pants are in now. I'm wearing Birkenstocks, which I wore in the 90s. It's just, there's nothing new under the sun.
You're wearing them today. I saw them. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah. It was a flex. It was a flex.
So I was trying to recruit you.
You did try to recruit me.
100%.
But you were out there at the time. For me, no, you did.
I was trying to get you over here and with me, because you got a good personality. You know, you got a very endearing personality.
Oh man, to see what God's done with Milestone from where it was is a sign and a wonder. Like how God's using you and the number of people impacted in the Metroplex by this community. It's just, I had a front row seat to see where it was to where it is today. It's incredible.
So the church you were serving at had like an old wedding chapel north of here. And you guys, big props to that church. They let us use that. We didn't have any money. We would go there on Friday nights
to
pray from 10 to sometimes 2 to 3 in the morning. We called it push, pray until something happens. Nothing was happening. So we needed to pray.
Y'all called it push?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's funny. Yeah, I gave you the key. I didn't come.
You didn't come back then.
But Brianna,
now you're leading all these prayer movement things.
I know. If only I would have known.
If you would have known.
Shown up. No, I've come a ways in my journey, but I have such fond memories of you guys, and just again the fruit of young people that were attached to what you were leading. I mean, and the fact that Brianna's still with you, it's insane.
That's awesome.
Really cool.
So what I want to talk about, because I think we have a college, we have a lot of young people, we have people, teachers. I bring up teachers because I get several teachers and principals saying, "Hey, I get a lot from the podcast." I think we have people, business leaders. We have a lot of pastors and staff members from churches, and I think pioneering something. So when you and I were together not too long ago, and I was just drawn to that season where God said, "Go to Dallas." I think a lot of people don't always understand, though. We're friends, we're in the same quote unquote city, we might as well be in two totally different nations, right? Like, in other words,
it's the ways.
North Fort Worth, but even culturally, Dallas, where you pastor, where the specific part of Dallas, right? Yeah. North Dallas, Plano, or further out is a lot different. You grew up, went to Lake Highlands, right? So my college roommate was from Lake Highlands. That's its own little community. We are in different worlds, but I understand it. But either way, take us through, you have this burden, you have this call, God's done a lot. And I want to talk about pioneering something.
Sure.
So let's say there's a pastor out there, he goes, well, I need to pioneer, we got to plow a new territory to have our church be younger. We have to plow new territory to build a new building, which you just did. God just did a miracle for y'all.
Yeah,
that's a whole new journey too, by the way, wasn't it? Like leading a group of people to a new destination. But let's talk about the pioneering spirit. Like, what did you learn about yourself? Tell us the story starting the church. What did you learn, like, starting this church, this community, Upper Room?
I think the first thing worth acknowledging, I wouldn't have chosen the area that God planted us in. So I'm a North Dallas kid, it took me almost an hour to get here. So that's how far we are.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm in an urban downtown
Right.
context, and the original building where we started this prayer meeting was in Oak Lawn. I knew that he had called us to plant a prayer room specifically in this area. And I think pioneering in the early days was God really stripping me of a lot of my preferences.
Right.
Like first the neighborhood.
And in realizing, to reach people, like your biases, like, right. Like I've said that about evangelism in my own life. It's like, the number one barrier to many times me reaching the people are ready to be reached, but am I going to take the time to invite them into the relationship? And it's selfishness a lot of times. I mean,
we're the biggest barrier.
We're the barrier.
We see ourselves in the midst of it. And my training, everything up to that point was the trajectory I was on to do something in the suburbs, was to lead a community that looked like me, like golf. You
love
I have
golf.
A wife.
What's your handicap right now?
Oh, I'm a 3.
That's powerful.
Is that good?
That's powerful. No, it's good.
Yeah, I
took 2 weeks off and quit.
Short-lived. You're a fisherman,
but I love to bass fish, though.
Yeah.
Notice the white. Look at the racket.
I can't. That's a whole other thing we'll have to talk about. But I think in those early days, everything I was trying to employ wasn't working.
Right.
And so the fact that God called us there, and then I think as a pioneer, being faithful to what I knew to do, not what I thought I should do.
Yeah.
And that was very little. The scope of what we were doing seemed so small, but it was significant in light of what he had planted, which was this. It was a prayer room that became a church. Now our church, it's a really unique expression of church. We have prayer 6 days a week from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And that culture of prayer that God was building, I didn't understand it at the time.
Right.
But being faithful to what he asked us to do in those early days was so critical in order to get us where he wanted us to go. And so I had to be real careful as a leader, and I think a lot of leaders face this, is I was being asked questions I didn't have answers to.
That's a good thought. Yeah. And that was okay.
I didn't think it was okay.
But it is okay.
I didn't think it was, though.
Yeah.
I thought, I'm the leader. I need to know answers to these questions. Like, I didn't want to feel exposed.
Right. And sometimes the answer is, hey, we're still working that out, or we don't know. And that's okay.
Or what I learned is to simply articulate what I did know.
That's good.
I had to know what I knew and be comfortable with what I didn't. And through those seasons of being faithful to do what he had called us to do over time, he brought answers to those other questions. But I realized in the early days, when I tried to employ ideas that were mine and not his, I would get in trouble. It would be kind of an Ishmael or something that I birthed and I was responsible for, versus just being faithful with what he called me to do. And I think that's a challenge for me even today, just with ongoing questions. And that's the purpose of leadership. Leadership is leading into uncertainty. So there's uncertainty, unclear. Well, what do I know? I have to be clear about that.
Right.
And I don't think I was as confident in the early days with what I knew. I felt like I needed to know more.
Right.
And I would encourage young leaders, if you need to know what you know, and to be faithful to articulate that consistently, so that people can see what it is God's called you to do, because it can get complex and unclear. And so I really fought for clarity, I think, about a year or two in, and this is what this is what it's not. So that was
so
really
good. Yeah, I love that thought, because I think a lot of times, you go back to, okay, I'm called to have a relationship with Jesus. I'm called to be a good steward of my wife. And then when you have kids, and I know the relationships he's called me to, and I know the place he's called me to, and I know the people, like when you start stacking up, there's actually a lot of things, okay?
Right.
I know I'm called to walk with this person. I know I'm called to this, and I think that's hard today, because you're actually most of the time fed something totally opposite.
Right.
Right. Like you need this, you need to buy this pill, you need that thing. If you
Yeah.
had this, your life. I mean, so we're
Yeah.
just constantly sold on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I think sometimes it's self-inflicted because we're on our screens, we're looking at what this guy's doing.
Right.
Well, if I come out here and see what you're doing, and I try to compare myself to what you're leading, I could get inferior. I could get inferior complex. Like it's significant, bro. You got a little city
pretty
here.
cool too.
It is pretty cool.
It's a pretty cool
But
building.
my point is,
mine's
if
a little
I'm-
suburban-ish.
very suburban. But if I was trying to lead what you're called to lead,
Right.
I'd get in trouble. And I think
Yep.
comparison is I think that is a thing that man, you need to be honest with yourself.
Exactly.
And also
Our
clear with
church
those that you're
stops
leading.
on time too. I just, you know, so that's just. I'm just saying. That's one thing I know. I know we're supposed to quit on time.
Yeah, we have a hard time putting a clock in the room,
Yeah.
especially at our PM service. So it to each their own, and just being faithful to.
How do you? One thing I've always wondered too is like, how do you navigate? Because what you're really saying, and I really do. One, you're a great version of you. You're a terrible version of somebody else. You're not going to have to stand before God for. You know, I don't have to stand before God for what He's called you to,
Right.
but I've got to be faithful to what He's called me
Right.
to. But I think too. Movement, right? The move of God. You know, in other words, I think we sometimes don't have enough structure, so we lose
Yeah,
the movement. But we also can
overstructure.
overstructure, and we have something that has great form but no
Right.
life in it.
Right.
How do you handle that when people started lining up? You and I would talk and be like, they're in line. You know, like, did it bother you when you're just like, should I have a solution for this?
Yeah. You used to have to get at our previous spot. You had to show up at 7 a.m. between 7 and 8 a.m. to get into the 10 a.m. service, and it was such a problem. I think though, when at the end of the day, I was clear with what we were called to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we were called to that urban downtown area. We had opportunities to move to other parts of the city, but it was so clear to me and how the Lord led me, spoke to our team, that we were supposed to hold the ground in that urban downtown context. So that meant that we didn't have as much parking as we needed. We couldn't find a space that was big enough for everyone that was coming. And for us, our target was the presence of God and prayer. And so with that orientation, it was more important what happened Monday through Saturday than what happened on Sunday.
Right.
So the prayer room, we had room still during the week, and because that was central to our vision, we could embrace some of the challenges that a Sunday presented in order to fulfill what we were called to do Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
We probably could have done it better looking back, but inevitably the Lord opened up a building now that we filled and still have sometimes lines, but where there's more space, and we've alleviated some of that. But again, the calling and the mandate for us dictated how we responded to some of those challenges.
And you just wrote a song.
I did. I told you that. I wrote my first song. House of David reached out, the docu-series on David on Amazon. And
Man.
the
That's all what am I doing for God?
that's
I've
what I
never
was
written
asking.
A song.
I don't know.
I mean,
bro.
what am I doing? I gotta write some songs.
Hey, as I told you, I didn't really do much. I showed up with my Bible. They wanted us to write on the Song of Moses, so I showed the guys where the Song of Moses is. We read through it, and then they did.
I think
their
this
thing.
could be a good template.
I was
right?
in the room.
Let's have a pastor, and so we're going to kind of put some scripture. We're going to kind of check this. You know what I mean. That might be a good template.
Man,
you know?
when you get in a room with some of these guys that are called to write, and they get the Word of God and a piano and the presence of God,
It's
what comes
powerful.
out of them.
It's pretty crazy.
Is incredible. So they just released that Friday on Amazon Music. It's called The Song of Moses, Upper Room. I'm really proud of it. It's like my small flex.
And your Birkenstocks.
In my Birkenstocks. Yeah.
You have Birkenstocks, and you wrote a song.
I wrote
this
in
is
my
pretty powerful.
Birkenstocks. Yeah. No, it's been that whole orientation again, calling, and what we set out to do. Songwriting was just a fruit of that.
So in the thinking about pioneering, you're like, know who you are, know what you're called to, be okay with the ambiguity, be okay even with we're going to go against the grain on some things, but we're not necessarily analyzing results. We're in the sense of how you might analyze them,
Right.
because we're staying true.
Right.
What's your biggest leadership challenge today? Like, what are you really trying to sort out now at the phase you're at? What are you trying to work through?
I think that's a great question that today I'll answer it this way. I think we have really a second generation of leaders, raising up that second gen. So I have a lot of our early leaders showed up. They were late teens, early 20s. Now they're young marrieds with kids and really starting their vocations. Like some of them are full-time songwriters now, and just it's incredible what God's launching them into. But now raising up that second gen, that's what consumes me. Just thinking about some of these newer leaders, what we learned in the last season. How do we position these guys to continue to do what we're called to do, but maybe do it more effective. And then I was telling you, I'm sending a lot of my team up here just to learn best practices from other places. Now that the DNA is set in Upper Room, I think we can glean so much from others to help us do some of the things that you guys do so well that we don't. And so that I think is something that doesn't feel as natural to us because it's been so homegrown, but it's time now, I think, for us to incorporate better order and structure and processes, because we've gotten away with a lot because of just the culture and the presence of God. But man, we have in this next season, I think, processes, structures critical for us.
We talk about breath and bones, right? Like you can have, you want to have the breath of God, but Ezekiel 37, right? The bones come together to create the army, the wine skin and the wine, right? The wine skin's got to stay where it can, so I think a lot about that. I think I can lean a little bit structural at times, but my roots, when you first met, I preached on it this weekend. Like, we're in a series called The Spirit-Filled Life. So I'm talking about how, I think there's a lot more common things among churches, which I think is a good thing. But I think also, like, when you definitively begin to say, oh no, we actually want to help bring people into a subsequent experience with the Holy Spirit, that is a defining thing. And I went into orthodoxy and we're brothers in Christ, but I think if I'm really being honest, it's like, how do you reach lost people, but also have a spiritually growing and maturing environment? And I think we tend to fall in the ditch a little. We kind of, our church is deep, and we're, or we're just, they're just, a lot of people, but it's not any depth.
Right.
I think a lot of times, sometimes that's being framed from people who aren't. I always think it's easy to sit in the stands, right? What have you built? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what I appreciate about you, is that you stayed true to your convictions and you built something that looks different from what I felt called to. But I think, at the end of the day, it's still centered around Jesus.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're trying to make Jesus more famous, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We just baptized 50-ish people 2 weeks ago, and I think 90% were either Latino or African American.
I love it.
Which is the demographic now that our new building's in, and so I think the presence of God and the proclamation of the gospel, those are the two things that we focus on week in and week out. Is that first 45 minutes, or could be an hour, could be an hour and 10, 20 minutes, but it's for the Lord. Or you
might not have to preach, which I think, I think that's one of the things that I think is, I could bring back those services, because, you could then, as the pastor, if you didn't have them, you could just be like, let's just work.
I just feel God on this song.
We got to go and let the Lord.
No, we usually, the majority of the time we get to the word.
Oh, of course.
But
you're
but
actually
that,
a really good teacher of the word. What about, let's talk about young people. Because you and I were chatting, and I come back around to this because what you were saying I think is interesting because that's similar to where I'm at in a different way. I'm actually now third generation, right? I have this I have sort of my friends, and but then I have another generation that were the initial young people that we raised up, but now we just have this wave of Tuesday night young adults. We've
right,
got all these students,
right,
um, and so I find a lot of my time is spent in the equipping and training and developing of future young, and I'm around a lot of young people, our college and stuff. And I find that a lot of people are really asking that, parents listening, what about, how do teenagers today, young people today,
yeah,
schools, politics, all
yeah,
these different things are influenced, and I think the digital shift, the technology, the changes in the world. I'll tell you this, during COVID, one of the hardest times in my tenure of leadership, like, you kind of get hit with such an unprecedented, I was like, we don't just have like a racial divide. We don't just have a political divide. We have a generational gap. That was
sure,
in my own staff.
sure,
I realized that I have people on my own staff who are not good at inviting young people to the table. Like, I bring them to the table. I don't treat them. I mean, I'm like, okay, you sit at the big people table,
yeah, yeah.
What would you say from your vantage point? Like, what do people not know about this next generation? What are we missing? What's going on?
It's a great question. Our world similar, just filled with young people, and I think they're looking for purpose. I think they're looking for a cause. And when they come into a context where that cause is clear, I see a generation willing to give their life to it. And so, not a greater cause than the gospel. It's something that has informed me in how to lead the coming generation, specifically those in their 20s, and you could probably say late teens. But I was reading the book of Numbers, which is a tough book to get through, right? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's called Numbers.
That's what my big joke is people go, God isn't into numbers. And I'm like, name the book of the Bible. He's really
It's true. It's true. But there was this, so I'm in my Bible reading plan, and I felt like the Lord highlighted, and if you read Numbers 1, Numbers 2, he's taking tribe by tribe, and he says, take those that are 20 years and upward, over and over, 20 years and upward, 20 years and upward. And then later in Numbers 4, there's a 30 and upward, but that's for the Levites. And the point is, those that are 20 and upward, those were to be set apart for war. They were the army of Israel. And then 30, you see, okay, there's for those Levites, they could go into the holiest of holies, they could serve and minister to the Lord. And I feel like the Lord showed me that your 20s are learning how to fight.
Yeah.
Like life's battles.
That's interesting. In a lot of countries, you have compulsory, like, in other words,
in Israel.
In Israel,
Yeah.
you got to,
Oh, man. I was just there last year. There's a girl on TikTok carrying an AK, in fatigues, and it's true. So it's still, I think they still employ that. But spiritually, I think so many young people are looking for their purpose, looking for, well, what am I called to?
Right.
And I think we've got to teach them to die. We've got to teach them to lose their life. We've got to teach them how to win the hidden battles.
Right.
I think that is the process that your 20s are about. So the language I use in my world is that your seeds, which are those seeds of destiny, calling, have needs, and it's soil. They've got to learn to die and plant their lives, I think, in a local context.
Yes.
And so I always say Upper Room's really good soil to do that. Milestone's really good soil to do that, but God will call you into soil in your 20s. And I think that process, you can't circumvent it.
Yeah.
And if you look at Joseph, Ezekiel, look at David, Saul, Jesus, even, all of them, it was 30, the age of 30 that they enter into their calling. And so there was something about 20s that prepare you for for that with platform, business, whatever that grace is on your life to lead out. Many times I think 20 somethings are so eager to get to that calling
Yeah.
and see it manifest,
Yeah.
but they miss the soil, they miss the process.
Yeah.
And so we talk a lot about discipleship,
Yeah.
about the hidden battles. David
Yeah.
killed lion and bear, no one saw.
Right.
Those are, that to me is where the substance is for the 20 somethings when they come in with that cause and, man, I'm gonna change the world. I'm gonna go to the nations. I'm gonna be a revivalist. I'm gonna be a marketplace leader. It's like, okay, yes, and learn to serve in children's ministry.
There you go.
Learn to show up at the 6 a.m. prayer set. Learn just to get some hidden wins under your belt, because that's actually what prepares you for that. So, I think soil is needed.
And there's more options today, right? So mobility is more possible. I say when I was growing up, you didn't have such a variety. It didn't feel like you did. You actually had the whole world, but very few people really knew that. So you didn't get anxious about every decision or feel like I should be further or change churches or change leaders or change stuff.
Right.
Because you kind of like went to where you were at, like it's the same way with you didn't listen to 5 preachers and then go listen to your pastor and judge him against them.
Exactly.
You wouldn't listen to your pastor because you didn't know what everybody else was talking about.
You didn't have any other option.
Right.
Yeah.
Now there's such a array of options, almost makes it even more important to really ask God, where are you calling me? Who are you calling me to walk with? Where do I need to,
Right.
Children's church may be more important than it did even 3 generations ago.
Right, which I think is what's so beautiful about running into Brianna here. So Brianna's been running with you for almost 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
That history. I was with some of my exec team last week. There were 8 of us. We had 130 years of serving on church staffs together. Like there's such a rich history. But that began in our mid-20s.
Yeah.
In our mid-20s, we didn't know what we were doing. We were doing it together.
Right.
And over time, buried in the soil we were in, there was a root system that now, we have decades of history together. And so I would encourage young people in those soils that they're called into, that those that they're connected to, like the longevity in that. I don't think we champion that enough, the longevity in relationship, the longevity with community in the same place, because we are so prone to be transient and bump from place to place to place. But I think there has to be a value for that.
It's the number one question actually that I get asked, probably number one. How do you have a team that you guys have been together that long? And I realize that, people could think that as a negative because they'd be like, well, does anyone challenge the process? And I get it. But that's why you always want to be a generational church, because I'm going to tell you, the children, the younger generations, if you're multi-generational, there's no way for this generation to stay stuck because the young people are going to go to war.
Right.
They're going to challenge the process, right?
They always will.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
And so that, I think having multiple generations, I think in a company or anything, like I think the best thing you can do is invite that feedback to the table because it helps you adapt and develop.
Right. And with that, the multi-generational connection, I think it's critical for young people to. I remember when I was running with you back in the day, I longed to be around families. I was single at the time, but I went and found someone at our church. I said, "Hey, can I come to dinner with you?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Yeah, sure, come on over." And what started out as 1 week it was like 2 years with the same family every Thursday night.
It's powerful.
And I think you've got to position yourself to find those older people that you respect, maybe the Lord highlights, and be intentional with that.
Yeah.
Because there's something for you in that relationship. And I look back at even what I'm leading today, and mothers and fathers have shaped it. It is a multi-generational thing. We have so much to receive from the generation above us, and so to position yourself in that way, I think it's really
It's kind of anecdotal, but I think God's actually, I don't have any stats on this. So I'm going to just say kind of, but conversations. I think God's got a new wave of young people he's calling into ministry too. When I talk, I mean, we're all in the ministry of reconciliation and marketplace, but I'm seeing a temperature, and if what people are saying is what you and I were just talking about, what God's doing in Europe and what God's doing, the laborers, right? The harvest is plentiful. I don't know. I'm just seeing that. And so then I've had this conversation 3 times in the last 2 weeks. I feel this call, but I don't know how to sort it out. What do I do? And my greatest advice is it's an apprenticeship. It started with Jesus as apprenticeship model. Like you find your people, you find your purpose, you find so what you need to do is ask God, where are you placing me? But also you need to ask, like, Lord, where do I, who do I resonate with?
Right.
What coaching,
Right.
Bill Parcells and Bill Walsh coaching trees. A few years ago, you could count up the majority of the teams in the NFL playoffs and won the Super Bowl came from those 2 coaching trees. Right?
That's crazy.
So, so we have a generation of young people God is igniting.
Yeah.
They're excited. They're talented. But it's like, no, where do I go to learn? Where do I get help? Right. And I think it's important.
I remember when Larissa and I were newly married, we went to a church before the Upper Room started, and there was a couple there that we were just really drawn to, Jane and Truman. And she had a prayer room in her living room. She was just this intercessor, wanted her church to start a prayer room. I don't know if they didn't have space, but she just did it in her living room. So we went to her weekday prayer meeting. No one was there but her husband because he lived there. And so, but she just had this heart for prayer. So we get this invitation to start a prayer room in Oak Lawn. Well, the first person to show up was Jane. First person, just a spiritual mom, dad. After a couple of weeks, we blow through the summer, so it was actually a couple months. They approached us, said, "Hey, we so believe in this, we're going to move down to Oak Lawn, but you need to adopt Jane's prayer hours, which were in her living room. You're going to adopt them at the Upper Room." And I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if this is going to stick. But sure enough, they moved down. We adopt the hours. They asked for me to be at all those hours. So here I am, stuck in Oak Lawn with Jane and her vision for a prayer room. Well, I learned to pray. Because Jane had a burden to pray. And I remember one time I was frustrated, like, Lord, call me to the suburbs. And I was reading Acts 2, and it says, when the Holy Spirit's poured out, it says, your old men will what? Dream dreams.
Yep.
And your young men will
visions.
have visions.
Yep.
And I think that can be spiritual, like having dreams and visions. But I felt like the Lord showed me that Jane's dream for a prayer house became my vision.
Yeah, that's good. That's really powerful.
That it became her dream became my vision. And it now looking at Jane's dream, I mean, Upper Room's known for prayer and worship. And I truly, that originated in the heart of Jane. And so it was a generational
I love it.
Connection and relationship that ultimately birthed the vision that I'm leading out today.
But this is the power of discipleship, right? Did not look very TikTok worthy when they were having you over to pray at their house.
Oh no!
No one was lighting up the internet. You know what we're doing today? We're praying at Jane's house.
She would rock like this over and over in those early days. I mean, it's 6 a.m. I'm not an early bird, but I would show up because Truman, he said, you need to be there. He's a lawyer down there. And he said, you need to be there. So I would show up. She would pray, and she would pray the same thing. She would pray for marriages and musicians. She'd pray a lot, but I remember consistently, marriages and musicians. Lord, bring the young people. Marriages and musicians. That was 2010, 11. In 2013, I did just under 20 weddings. And then you had these musicians.
Now the music.
Blood and so I look back and I just see, wow, the prayers of Jane Spring availeth much. And I'm indebted.
I love that.
I'm indebted.
What a cool story.
And so I just want to encourage young people to find those spiritual moms and dads and just that generational connect, because it will unlock something for you.
That's so good.
Unlock something for you.
So I ask most people that come on here this question, right? Like, lead to win, right? And when a lot of people would think, oh, that's like striving for a target or a goal. But you understand my version because we've talked. What do I mean by winning? Right? What is the Bible says? Run your race, but some run it and win, and some just run.
Right.
Right. Obviously, it's talking about an eternal perspective.
Right.
For you, what is winning? Like what is because you look at the target, like what is winning for you as a leader? What right now is what would you impart in that area?
I mean, you could look at marriage, kids, which we could talk about that. That's gotta be that's gotta be central and priority. But I think even before that, I would say that I'm falling deeper in love with Jesus.
Yeah.
That my affections, my hunger, my knowledge of him, I want to know him. Mm-hmm. And I realize the more I know him, the more there is to know. Mm-hmm. And you know, David in Psalms 27, I think is a real Psalms 27 is one of my favorite Psalms, but it's a real hardship. He's going through a lot. And he says this, he says, you said, seek my face. And in my heart, I said, Lord, your face I'll seek. And that invitation to seek his face, it's what got us into this.
Yeah.
It's where it began.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even people watching this are probably watching this because they're in relationship with him and they want to grow in their knowledge of him. And so I think that pursuit has to be primary for my marriage, for my kids, but ultimately as a leader, that my affections for Jesus, my love for Jesus, my fidelity and faithfulness to Jesus has to be central daily. And I can get so preoccupied with the things surrounding him that I end up having a relationship with those.
Right.
And I call it a relationship with him. Mm-hmm. But that my heart has to be connected to his voice, to his leadership, to his ways, which is a surrendered life. And so I think that would be winning. I know that sounds like, well, pastor's
really
got to
good.
say that,
No,
but
it's really good.
But the centrality of being a disciple of Jesus and that he has access to this, to my heart and to my affections. I daily want to strive for that. So that would be winning for me.
I would say that's pretty much the primary target, and everything else flows out of that. That's a really good. And I do think, you know, you talk about writing a worship song or whatever. I think there's uniquenesses. There's things we impart. God gave us all different gifts, right? We should all be pursuing that. But I do think you have a unique calling in that area to draw people to a greater level of worship and prayer. And I kind of want to go to a prayer meeting right now. You know? It's not like, hey, let's go pray or something. Man. You know, I'm like, because I will say, you know, you do get the impartation of what you're around, right? And I think you provide something. I mean, a lot of our young people will come over for worship things. I mean, there's an atmosphere there that you're, you know, imparting, calling, inspiring people to be closer to Jesus. Yeah. And I mean, that's amazing. So
yeah, that's it. That's the W.
That's awesome. And you still have a 3 handicap. I mean, when are you going to get it on down there?
It's around there.
You're going to get it on down.
Well, it's summertime, so this is game time. This is in season, man. I'm in season right now. So ask me in a couple of months. We just joined a club, and it's my boys are getting into golf. So I spend a ton of time. I have my first big tournament this next week, so I'll text you what I do.
Let me know. Thank you for coming.
Man, what an honor. I love you. I'm really, really honored to be your friend. This is special.
I want to say thank you for checking out this episode of the Lead to Win podcast. I want you to know that I love and my team loves getting this kind of content into your life so it can help you lead and win at what matters most. So I'd love for you to do me a favor, like, comment, especially subscribe if you would, so that we can make sure that we're able to get to you some of the things that are going to help you lead to win.